going to learn a spring curry recipe. And it's going to be a little different. If you've made it before, the recipe might be a little bit different than what you already know. And we were talking, Pragya brought up the point of spring in Ayurveda is not a time for detox. You hear that a lot, that spring detox. But we have just your regular spring cleaning. Like it's not an overwhelming task. I was thinking of, I have this closet in my front hallway where whenever I have something that I don't know where it goes, I open the door and I throw it in the closet and I shut the door and I forget about it. And then this spring I said, oh, it's spring cleaning time. Let me open this closet and go through it. And it was completely, utterly overwhelming. I opened it and I don't even know what I put in there. Why did I save this thing? It was just a mess. And my closet needed a detox. If I had approached my closet correctly throughout the year, I would have just needed a little spring cleaning, dust some stuff, move some stuff around. So the Ayurvedic concept of what you do in the spring is it's a time to just purify yourselves. As Lakshmi explained with drinking hot water, that's more of a spring cleaning type of thing. Or where you're eating bitter flavor, that's our spring cleaning. So it's not that huge detox. So as long as you come to our sanghas and you follow this seasonally appropriate diet throughout the year, you won't need to detox. You'll just need to do the regular spring eating bitter food, having your hot water, that type of thing. So you can think of it a little bit as, I have a cat, you might have another animal, that in the winter they build up all this fur, and then when spring comes around, they don't need the fur anymore, so then your house, that's the spring cleaning, right? You need to vacuum all the fur that they've shed. But at one point in the season, it was helpful and necessary for them, but then in this season, it's no longer necessary or important, so they need to shed it. Similarly, with the extra earth and water, that prithvi and that kapha that we brought in the winter, now we don't need quite as much. So now we'll have our bitter flavors, our heating foods, so that we can get rid of what is no longer needed. And then hopefully your body won't look like my closet, and it'll be a little more manageable. So what we're working on today is that spring curry. So it's going to be a little different. Sometimes you may have made this with besan flour, but we're going to use mung flour. And another important aspect to Ayurveda is not eating what we consider some toxic foods. So there are certain things that are considered toxic or incompatible foods. And one of those is cooking yogurt directly. So you may have made curry where you cooked yogurt directly. We're not going to do that. We've started with takra. So to begin with, we're going to put a little ghee in the pan. Say about a couple teaspoons. We're going to heat that up. And then to that, we're going to add a little pinch of hing, just a little bit. Hing you can get in an Indian store, or I live in San Francisco, and I can get it at Scarlet Sage. They have a really nice one where they don't mix it with any extra filler, and it's just the herb itself. And then to that, we're going to add about a half teaspoon of cumin seeds. And about a ½ inch of ginger that you've peeled and grated, so fresh ginger. About a ½ teaspoon of turmeric. And we'll start with a ½ teaspoon of rock salt, so that pink Himalayan rock salt that you can also get at an Indian store or Trader Joe's. And Berkeley Bowl too, I think.
You get the butter very hot almost to the point where it might start to brown?
We're not going to brown it. It might look brown from the turmeric, but it's not brown. It's ghee. So we're not going to have the butter part in it.
So we don't want necessarily the flame that high.
Right, yeah. Okay. Then you're going to add 2 teaspoons of your mung flour to some water, and then you're just going to make it into a smooth paste. And now we've already made our takra, but so the way you make takra is we took a half cup of yogurt and mixed it with 2 cups of water. So the ratio is 1 to 4.
What is in this one?
Takra, so half cup of yogurt and 2 cups of water. And then to that I added a paste I made with a little bit of water and that green mung flour. And so what makes the takra different than the yogurt is that it's been churned. You churn it until you get this frothy bubbles on top, and you'll churn and churn. This was already pre-churned, so you would churn until your arm feels tired. That's your spring exercise. And then you're going to add it in. And then to this we're adding fresh methi or fenugreek. This is 1 sprig of fenugreek, and we can pass it around. You can get this at the Indian store, or Berkeley Bowl I know usually has it. So I've just chopped it up. I have about a half cup, and I'm just adding that right in. And then we're going to start to bring that to a boil and let it cook. So the methi is that bitter flavor. So you'll taste it in the soup, but there's other ways that you can prepare methi, but this is a great spring recipe. It's simple, it's quick. You can add, if you're adding vegetables to it, you would add it at that stage after you put the spices when the ghee is cooking, and you'd saute your vegetables a little bit. So we talked about incompatible foods. Cooking yogurt directly is an incompatible food. And that's something that when you eat that, it can produce that that Pragya gave you a visual example on the TV over there, that on your tongue. That's something that can create that. Some other foods that you want to stay away from throughout the year are also mixing very hot and very cold foods. So don't have soup and wash it down with iced tea. You want your hot water. Eating before the previous meal is digested. So you have to start to pay attention to your body and not just, oh, they're having something I want. You have to say, am I ready for my next meal? And then also mixing fruits with milk can cause that same toxic in your body. So maybe getting rid of those smoothies or just mixing your fruit with your milk, you want to avoid that in general. So takra is easily digestible because we've mixed it with water and we've churned it. We've made it much more digestible than yogurt, plain yogurt. One of our books, Charaka, he says that just like nectar is for gods, takra is for humans. So that sounds pretty good to me and like something I want to keep drinking. We also have our fresh ginger in here that improves digestion and keeps the doshas kapha, which we talked about, and vata down. And mung is easily digestible and it helps absorb water. So that also is going to help dry out that kapha that we're trying to get rid of during this season. We eat this with rice, but in this season you might want to dry roast the rice first, or you can even eat it with corn tortillas in this season. And about it. So what we would do is bring this to a boil and then we let it simmer for about 5 minutes and then it's ready to eat.